everybody, I'm Laura T Adventures, and back in about junior high, I became obsessed with the Nancy Drew games by Her Interactive. And also, I'm terrible at making intros to videos. So, I assume you've read the title and know that this is a review for Nancy Drew Shadow at the Water's Edge. I don't think I really need to say more than that, so let's just get on with the video!
According to the case file at the beginning of the game, Nancy is heading up to Japan to have a casual sightseeing vacation while teaching English during the day, and to take a break from solving mysteries. Now, anyone who's familiar with Nancy Drew knows that Nancy is incapable of having just a casual vacation, especially if the inn she's staying in is said to be haunted. The inn, the Ryokan Hie, is being run by two sisters, their grandmother, and the younger sister's boyfriend. The girl's mother, Kasumi, died at the ryokan a while back, and some believed that Kasumi's spirit was angry and haunting the place. This was scaring away a lot of their business. After arriving, you experience a few of the so-called hauntings, which compels Nancy to look into them in order to find out what was really going on.
Okay, you got me. I may have found a mystery.
I actually really enjoyed the plot of this game. I found myself really wanting to find out what exactly happened to Kasumi and why nobody was willing to talk about it. I wanted to know who or what was causing the hauntings and why. I thought that the plot was paced really well too. My main complaint is the ending of the game. Now, I obviously won't spoil anything, but I did find the ending to be a lot more anticlimactic than I had anticipated, which was a little disappointing. But that doesn't stop the rest of the game from being fun. Each character kind of feels like some sort of Japanese stereotype. There's Miwako, the quiet, reserved, hardworking one who doesn't really let anyone into her personal bubble. There's Rentaro, the lovable, quirky, socially awkward nerd. Takai, the overly traditional and old-fashioned grandma. And Yumi, the bossy, domineering, trying really hard to look kawaii one. Even though these characters feel a little stereotypical, and the voice acting can be a little, well...
Kasumi is still here. I must help her.
The game still does a pretty good job at character development. I actually felt somewhat connected to each character by the end, and I wanted to learn more about them and their situations. Now, obviously seeing as this is an adventure game, there are many puzzles. The only problem is that they can feel a little ridiculous at times. The puzzles in this game are a large variety of different logic puzzles. This felt a little bit out of place in this game. Like, for example, there's a compartment that can only be opened by solving the nonogram carved into the door. Because, you know, people typically lock things using nonograms, or Sudoku, or another logic puzzle.
Okay, I should probably mention that I love logic puzzles. I love Sudoku, nonograms, renograms, etc.
Because of that, the puzzles in this game didn't really bother me that much. Even though they felt a little out of place, I was still able to get past it. I was able to enjoy the mystery while almost getting a break every so often to play a logic puzzle. It's great! The puzzles range in difficulty from, hey, I could do this in my sleep, to,
It looks like I need to find a way to make sure none of the wires are crossing.
even though some of the puzzles are definitely more difficult than others, I never felt that any of them were impossible.
I got the backing off the portrait.
That being said, if logic puzzles really aren't your thing, then this game is probably not for you. Also, if you ever need a break from the mystery, you're allowed to do things like grading assignments, solving various logic puzzles, making bento, or playing pachinko. While these are entirely optional, you can get awards at the end of the game for doing them enough. Although, don't stress too much about getting all of the awards. I can tell you from experience that no award is worth spending hours pushing a button to play pachinko. This game is intended to be one of the scary Nancy Drew games, but the amount of scare you get out of the game really depends on what scares you. The game uses hauntings such as seeing a ghost or lights flickering on and off to try to be frightening. Now, I didn't personally find the game to be that scary, but it still did manage to put me on edge at certain points, although that was more due to the music of the game rather than the visuals. The game's aura is really enhanced by the soundtrack. Whether or not it's the barely out-of-tune song that sometimes plays in the ryokan, or the extremely upbeat songs that play in the subway, the music does a really good job at setting the mood for the game.
Overall, this game is a fun mystery adventure game that, while it still has its flaws, it's a really enjoyable experience. It's not an overly long game, but it's not really overly short either. I would say it's probably one of my favorite games in the Nancy Drew series, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who loves mysteries and adventure games. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, etc. Voila, the end. Thank you for watching. I became obsessed with the Nancy Drew adventure games. Adventure games? They're not labeled as that. I can't do this!